All right, guys, happy June 12th, 8:35 on this beautiful Wednesday morning, coming to you, feeling really, really good, coming to you full of energy. I'm always excited to bring the community together. So we'll probably have anywhere between, I don't know, I'd say 60 to 90 people in the office today for this economic update. So super grateful. I'm excited to see you guys. But first and foremost, we got to be here. We got to be present. We got to be in this moment. And so let's go right into the conversation. I'm going to go over to one of my favorite lenders because I have many. And a couple of them are on the call today. So I'm going to go to Christina. Christina, I'm going to have you bring us out on the field on this beautiful Wednesday morning. For the people that don't know what this is just someone sharing their sentiment about what they would say to the group and how they would bring us out on the field, get us ready for game day. So Christina, let's hit them with it. Let's go.
All right. Thank you, guys. Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday. It's midweek. So I like to think of Wednesdays as what goals did I have on Monday? Where am I at right now before Friday to make sure I crush those? So make sure you're crushing your goals. Hope to see you guys there. I will be there in Oakland today as well. And it's going to be interesting. I'm really curious what the economic update's going to be because Jerome Powell is talking rates today, 11 o'clock our time. We did see a slight improvement this morning in rates. So I'm really curious to see what the predictions are going to be for possibly 2 rate cuts this year.
All right. So I know that we said that before and it's kind of gone back and forth, back and forth. So I'm curious to see how that news impacts us today as well. And so stoked to see everybody, excited about today. Here's why these types of sessions here, as well as the economic update in person, is really important. You guys have to be able to master this. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be high-level economists, but what you have to do is you have to have an idea of how to communicate with this with the consumer. At the end of the day, and I'll say it until I'm blue in the face, it's not the consumer's responsibility to decipher all this data. It's not their responsibility. We have a job to say, here, Mr. Consumer, this is how you interpret all this data, then this is how this impacts you as a buyer and or a seller. So I'm glad that you guys are here. First and foremost, I want to hear from our lenders. There was some big news yesterday about VA changing their requirements or changing some things about how a buyer can now pay for compensation when before it was not allowed. So I was wondering if you guys could talk about that. I know it's big news. It just dropped yesterday. I was waiting for VA to get in this conversation. So Ashley or Christina or any of our other lender partners, can you shed some light on that, what that means for VA buyers, how that helps them still stay competitive? Can you shed any light on what that means for us moving forward?
Yeah, I don't know, Ashley, if you wanted to touch on this too, but they did just release it. Basically they do it. It's called a VA provided a temporary fix to allow buyers to pay broker fees. So this just came out yesterday. Ashley, I don't know if you had some more deeper details on this by chance as well.
It's pretty surface. So before it was illegal for the buyer to pay their own commission and there was really tight guidelines. And so now they have a temporary fix to allow the buyer to go forward while they're working all this car stuff out. So they're going to probably update this as the lawsuit proceeds, but at least VA buyers aren't going to be discriminated against in the process as of right now.
All right, so really, really important things that you guys know. Obviously, if you're watching the news, if you're reading the headlines, you guys are seeing everything that's been talked about the settlement, and I don't want to spend too much time on this. However, when you're seeing this, what's happening in multiple markets across the United States, this settlement is getting pushed back. And what's happening is that the local MLSs are deciding to say, you know what, we're not removing compensation because we want a fair opportunity for both buyers and sellers to be able to, see these properties and not be steered towards other properties because there's no commission, so on and so forth. So we're seeing it happen that the MLSs are battling against the NAR settlement. Well, here locally, all of our local MLSs have agreed that they are removing any compensation. So you will not be able to see that in our local MLSs. Now, moving forward with the board of directors here locally, not sure how that's going to look, but there's tons and tons of things happening right now. And so nothing is set in stone. And what I want to do in the coming weeks, and I'm going to announce it here before I even go public with this, we did our What's Next for Buyers Agents part one, and we did a rolling mastermind. It was five masterminds. And I thought it was really effective. I appreciate the people that came to those sessions. And that was really about the mindset and how we got prepared for the road ahead and an overview. Now what I want to do is I want to do another round, and it's what's next for buyers agents part two. It's forms and dialogue. What's happening is that you guys are now having to access so many new forms, from your open house forms. Now that there's a new listing agreement, there's all kinds of new verbiage out there. And for you guys, does it feel a little overwhelming with all the new forms? Please raise your hand if it feels a little overwhelming on how to stay up to date with all those new forms. Hey, listen, I'm with you, and Karina's with you as well. And so what I would like to do is I'd like to just set a precursor out there, and let me get a little bit of some buy-in here from everyone on the call. If we did another rolling mastermind part two, what's next for buyers agents, dialogues, and forums, is that something that you guys would attend? Is that something that would be a benefit to you guys? Please give me a hand raise, or just give me an emoji, or just go like this. All right, cool, cool, awesome. So that's what's coming down the pipe, but let's do this. Ashley, you put something in here. I don't know what that is. You want to share what it is? You put an image in the chat.
Yes, it was just what we were just talking about, the breaking news, in case anybody wanted to make a reel, use it as a backdrop or something, since it is breaking news as of like yesterday. And it's just what we were talking about VA being able to pay their own commission, whereas before they could not.
Perfect. And I'll share my screen here, you guys. I pulled this up. Now, if you do not have a membership to Inman, you're not able to view this. So I would highly recommend that each of you get your membership to Inman. It is a price that is worth it for the entire year. You'll find this also on their Instagram. So if you went here, you'll see this new post that was posted yesterday, 14 hours ago. And if you go into the link, you'll be able to see the full entire bio, or excuse me, the article, and it's located right here. Now, mind you, if you don't have access to it, you're only going to have a limited version. But what I can do is I can screen grab this. I can put it in Slack for you, or if you want me to just text it to you, just let me know. But it really just depicts and shows exactly what's available now for our VA buyers, because I feel in some ways when the settlement came out, I feel like the VA buyers got slated. And what I mean by that is that it was an unfair advantage for them. And so they're probably like, how am I going now compete, right? People already think that a VA loan is the lesser of the loans for whatever reason, not saying that it is, but that's a perception. Oh, I have a VA buyer. I'm not going to be able to go up against a conventional. It's going to be challenging. My offer's not going to get accepted. Christina, you had your hand up again. Let's go over to you.
Yeah, and I wanted to add too, because some people on the call may be being like, well, why would a VA loan look less attractive to a seller? Well, it's the idea of they're not putting any money down. So 9 times out of 10, a VA buyer is putting no money down because of their eligibility benefits through the VA. The other thing is you have to have a Section 1 clearance report on a property when purchasing VA. So depending on the property, that may be something they don't even want to deal with. So there's a couple of those things that they already feel are against them. So when you tack on, okay, now I can't even pay my realtor. So that just kind of gives additional clarification, as well as why sometimes people may see a VA loan, which it's totally opposite. If anything, you know, if a lot of agents are nervous on doing VA loans are amazing. It allows so much flexibility to the veteran, the buyer. They're able to go so high in ratios. So it's really good. You know, any questions, always just feel free to reach out. But that's one of the key things of why sometimes VA gets a bad rap.
I love it. I love it. And Stephanie, you said something in the chat here that it's what did you say, the best product? Why so?
VA is by far the best product on the market because you can do so many out-of-the-box things with VA that you can't do with other loans. For instance, the seller can give you a seller credit to pay off the veteran's debt. No other loan is going to allow you to do that. So if you got a car loan or surprise debt that came up, you got to pay it off. Guess what? Get a seller credit. They'll allow you to do it. Let's say a VA appraisal comes in low, okay? You don't agree with the value. You can submit what's called an appraisal rebuttal, which is where you provide comps. You tell the appraiser, I don't agree with your value, but here are comps. This is what I think. If the VA appraiser says, no, I don't agree, you can call the VA Regional Loan Center, give them the scenario. They can overturn the appraiser. That is the only product that will allow that. No other loan can do that. Because at the end of the day, the VA wants this loan for the buyer, period, right? This is an earned benefit. This is not just a regular loan that anybody can get. This is earned. And the VA has the veterans back. And so you can do a lot of out of the box things. If somebody had a foreclosure and they messed up their entitlement, they can call the VA and they can try to negotiate to have that entitlement restored. Let's say somebody went through a gnarly divorce. All things happen, you know, their finances got out of control. They can negotiate with the VA to pay, you know, 400, 500 bucks and get their full VA entitlement restored so that they can go and buy another VA home. Again, only product that'll allow that. It's amazing.
Wow. I love it. And I think that's where it comes down to. What it comes down to is that we need just additional information, and the knowledge about the program is key. Hector, let's hear your contribution. Good to see you, my man. And I love that. All right. I saw Hector last night. I love that. I think you should just grow it out. All right. Since it's looking so full, but let's go, Hector. What's up, man?
We're going into this heat. I don't know about that, but good seeing you too. So I just want to contribute real quick. You're right. You're right on when you say it's perception. I think as realtors, we have to be able to like change the perception of this product. It's actually a really good product. I believe with Christina and Stephanie all day long. I think we just have to be prepared. Like if you can tell, we as realtors know this house is section 1 is gonna be called out regardless. Just prepare ahead of time. I know someone, if you guys need someone to come in and prepare and say, look, we're gonna take care of it. If you accept this offer, you have no worries. I know someone who could do it and get paid at the close of escrow. That way, if your buyers are strapped on cash or whatever the case is, it's just preparing ahead of time so that we can figure out the rest for these buyers. But it's all perception. Let's just get out of that rut with them thinking it's a bad deal. It's actually a really good deal, and let's get it done. It's just how we plan to do it, and then make your offer like with those things anticipated, because then the listing agent will be like, okay, he's hitting all the points. This is actually a really good deal. So it's just getting ahead of the curve ahead of time when you're presenting the offer so that we can start to change this like bad perception of this loan. I really don't see it as a bad deal. It's actually a really good deal. And I would rather that deal to go through than a conventional, because we don't know what's coming ahead with conditions before closing. Whereas a VA buyer, it's almost guaranteed.
Wow.
And you know what's funny to add to that too is like Otis does the same thing with our FHA buyers. When he's going in with an FHA offer, and if he's kind of looking like, hey, I see that light switch, we're going to need an outlet on that. I see that paint. All right, Christina told me chip paint, it's going to need to be scraped and primed. He's already looking at it. When he's running the offer, he's already telling the listing agent, hey, I'm going FHA. My lender's solid. Don't worry about it. I see a couple things here the appraiser is probably going to call out, but I have a family member that can do it. We'll pay it at closing. Don't worry about it. I'm just letting you know ahead of time. And it's that preparation where the listing agent's like, okay, damn, like I thought FHA was probably not going to be as good, but the guy knows what he's doing. The lender is like, feels confident. All right, cool. So it's just preparing, setting the expectation and eliminating any doubt that maybe they just thought VA, FHA is, you know, not as strong of a loan when it really is.
Yeah, and you know, to be able to look at it from the eyes of you know, like the FHA guidelines, and be like, okay, there's chip paint. I know, all right, my contractor said they could do that for X amount, and being able to identify those things early on. Also, if you're going to a property that's a historic property in the Bay Area and it has $40,000 of Section 1 and $5,000 of Section 2, that's probably a house that you probably want to walk on and not write. We've all experienced those houses that look really, really nice. And then you pull up the reports, you're like, damn, $40,000 of pest rot or pest damage or whatever the case is in Section 1. Yeah, that's a case where I'd run for the hills and I'd go find another property for my consumer. But really, really, really good stuff. Teddy, I don't know if you could talk, my man. You had a contribution in the chat. I'd love to hear from you because this sounds like you're a consumer that just got in the contract using a VA loan.
Correct. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
I can, bro. I'd love to hear this contribution. I didn't know that you were a consumer that just used the loan. So let's go.
Yeah, I'm a military vet. Did 12 years in the Marine Corps, and I went with Mashan and Mashan Coleman to help me close on the property. So I went through the VA, and it was actually a great product. You know, everything that y'all mentioned as far as their appraisals is concerned, we had that adjusted as well to match the fair market value. It was a little hesitant at first to get my offer approved. They wanted to go, you know, conventional, but after everything was said and done, and I guess the other people that was putting in offers had some issues with their financing. With the VA, it was 100%. Only thing I had to do was pay closing costs, which was roughly around $18,000 out of pocket. So yeah, I didn't have to come up with a down payment or anything. So I'm very happy with the product.
Wow. Well, congratulations to you, my man. Super, super happy for you. And
Thank you.
you just said, I don't know if it was Hector, I don't know who said that saying that it was almost like bulletproof, right? It's like, hey, like the other ones, something might happen during the loan process, but you heard it straight from a consumer's mouth. You know, he thought that deal was more bulletproof because of the loan type. So really good stuff, you guys. Let's go right into this conversation. Let's continue this conversation. I got asked this yesterday, but I wanted to pose the question to you because I think that we'll get different answers from you guys. And so I wanted to ask you guys, and feel free to throw your hand up. I want to get through the questions or the contributions. Are we in a seller's market? Are we in a buyer's market? Now, before you answer that, I want you to really think. The one thing that we have that's different here in the Bay Area is we have microclimates. It's unlike any other place in the United States of America. Southern California is similar. Manhattan, New York, there's some similarities, but the Bay Area, it has so many different microclimates. So if a consumer asks you right now, are we in a buyer's or seller's market? What do you say to that person? I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear your contributions. This is a high-level conversation about the market. So get involved. And if you don't get involved, I'm going to have somebody just call you out and just say, hey, go ahead and answer that question. So I need at least 3 to 5 people to throw their hands up to get involved in that conversation. Let's go. I want to hear from you guys. If you're putting in the chat. All right. So Laj, we'll go to you first. Is it a buyer's market or is it a seller's market?
I think it's both. I think it's both for the reason that for the past 10 plus years, sellers in this market have not had to do any price cuts. They've been bidding wars. This is the first time in a long time you've ever seen people cut prices on their homes, negotiate, and only have 1 or 2 offers. And then I also feel it's a seller's market because if prices continue to go down, then it's best that you go ahead and sell your property now. While it may be at somewhat of a height of a dip we may be entering into. So I think it's both.
Okay, good. Really astute. I appreciate your contributions. Let's go, Otis, and then let's get a couple more hands involved in this conversation. Let's go, O.
I would say the same thing. It also depends on what markets you're looking at. I even had a conversation yesterday with Ina where I was like, do you feel like things are slowing down a little bit? I was getting my ass handed to me.
Otis, you put yourself on mute accidentally.
I'm sorry. I was talking to Ina last night and I was like, do you feel like there's a stagnant coming? Like, I feel like 3 weeks ago, I was getting my ass beat by like $100,000, $200,000, $300,000. Now it's like the influx, you know, even the, my Zooms and Zillows aren't booming like crazy like they were at that time. So it's just been a little stagnant. I think it is because of the upcoming NAR settlement. I do think it's because people know that we're right in the prime crazy fucking election right now, and they think that that's going to have some influx with rates going down. We were promised 3 times rates being dropped, and they really haven't even really begun to do their first real big price drop. And the fact that it's coming up to summer. So I would tell you as a consumer, Elias, it's really on where we're looking at. If we're looking still in Oakland, Alameda, Berkeley, all up and down 80, we're probably still going to see ourselves in a hot mess of over asking, a lot of offers. But other areas like where I'm at, predominantly living in, and I do a lot of my businesses out here in Solano County, there's always still that 14, 30, 45 day price reduction. If we do find a property that everybody likes, it's probably about a handful of people, 3 to 5, if that. So competition, but not like the severe competition in up and down 80 where we have like 100, 200 people. So if you're comfortable with driving maybe 20 minutes out of your way to save maybe possibly $50,000 to $100,000, let's just broaden our search. And that way it's open to answer your original question. Is it a buyer's or seller's? It depends on what market you're looking at. It could be prime for your buyer or it could be exceptionally well for your seller, but both are finding unbalanced ways where it doesn't seem right. So being with the right person at the right time is going to be really key on making a purchase or selling.
Beautiful. Well said. Well said. It reminds me, I'm coming to Hector next, and then Lisa, you'll be on deck, and then we'll get through all the other hands. It reminds me of 2020. I had a buyer that wanted to purchase a house in Oakland. They worked in San Francisco in a bank, and they were traveling every single day, and they just wanted to live in Oakland. This is where they had friends. They liked the nightlife. They liked the food scene. They liked the city feel. Well, they're 22, 23 and 24 years old, excuse me. And we were looking, there was nothing. I mean, maybe a 1-bedroom condo that would have sufficed, but I mean, so competitive for them. One day we just said, hey, are you interested in anything? No way, no how. Well, one day we found a house out in Oakley, right? Oakley, which is, it was so on the opposite ends of the spectrum. And we went out there, they saw the house, it had a pool, and they ended up purchasing this house for $450,000. Now, the cool thing about it is in 1 year, this family earned over $100,000 of positive equity in 1 year. Now, the alternative was if they didn't purchase the house, they were going to have to move back to Pennsylvania, where he had to take over his dad's career or the family business, which was he was a mortician. So he's like, all right, I got to figure this out because I'm not going to go back to be a mortician. Well, when we were out here in Oakland, this was a complete seller's market for them. They couldn't compete. Well, when we went out to Oakley, which was a 20, 30-minute drive, like Otis was saying, now it became a buyer-friendly market. We were able to negotiate. We were able to get them the house they wanted. And they were sitting in this beautiful, beautiful house with a pool, and they are super happy, just had their first child and just got married. And so yeah, it's the same thing, Otis. You know, they had a drive, but now they've built, now it's year 4. I'm sure they're probably sitting on at least $200,000 of positive equity, and they're still, you know, under the age of 30. So good stuff, Otis. Let's go to Hector and then let's go to Lisa. Let's continue this conversation. Good stuff, you guys.
So I agree both with Laj and Otis. I think it really depends on the market you're looking at. So here's what I talk about to my sellers when they say, hey, I'm looking to sell, you know, what price can I get? It really is about why do they need to sell? So I go drill down open-ended questions with why is it that you need to sell now? Is there anything in your life that's changing? Talk to me about that so that we can figure this out, because right now it really just depends. Where that house is, what market it's in, is it near schools with high ratings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. As far as my buyers go, I tell them, look, I know you're on the fence because a lot of what I'm seeing is the hyper focused on interest rates. They're waiting on the dip, and when the dip comes is when everyone else is, you're going to be competing. So the time is right for everyone as far as buyers go is when you can do it. So the best thing I can do to reassure them is if you can afford this payment now and you're locked in, or we can get you a buy down because that's what we're doing right now, depending on the area that you're at and what house you're choosing, then it's going to be right for you. So feel good about this payment that you're looking at, that you're pre-approved for, that you're looking at and feeling comfortable about, because now you don't have to worry about what the market's doing. You're safe, you're comfortable, you have your house, you're investing in yourself. Forget about what the market's doing. Now, if you're in it because you think it's a casino, don't buy right now. Just wait out for whatever it is that you want to wait for, but don't do it. Same for my sellers. If they don't have a game plan on where they're going next, because it's going to be tough depending on where they want to go, or they're going to go out of state, it just really depends on the plan and whether or not the buyer is ready to go because they're ready for the payment now. So that's where I'm at with each side. It really just depends, but overall, I still think it's a seller's market because of demand and what we have in product. Overall, I still think it's a seller's market because it can shift right away to a seller's market with getting multiple offers. But at the end of the day, it really just depends on the market, like everyone has said.
Totally. Well said, Hector. And before we go over to Lisa, be right there. But Ashley, can you answer the question in the chat? Very quick elaboration for Jacqueline. Can you elaborate how buy downs work, permanent or temporary? Can you just
Sure.
elaborate?
They can be either permanent or temporary. So let's say after all your research, you think that the house is going to go for $550,000. You could potentially offer $560,000, ask the seller to give $10,000 back, or however you want to structure that deal. That's up to you guys. What we can do with that $10,000 is we can do a permanent buy down, which will buy down the interest rate for the life of the loan forever. Or we can do a temporary buy down, and then that will depend on the price of the house, how much we're going to need in seller credits, and that will give you a lower interest rate for the first 2 years, 2% below market interest rate for the first year, 1% for the second year, or we can do a 3-2-1 buy down, which is a little bit more of a seller credit we're going to need, which will take your interest rate 3 points below market rate the first year, 2 points the second year, and then 1 point the next year, and then back to the market rate. And that will be the worst case scenario. So really, you just weigh the pros and cons of what's best for each buyer and what their priorities are, and then they can choose whether they want the permanent buy down or the temporary buy down.
Yeah, and I think too, when it comes down to, and correct me if I'm wrong, if somebody's thinking, oh, well, I think an unexperienced person will be like, oh, I'll just get you credit towards your closing costs, right? Let's say $10,000. Well, in the grand scheme of things, if they use that money to do a permanent buy down, essentially they're going to save more money long term versus getting that immediate money. Is that safe to say?
It depends. No, not
Okay.
always. So it depends on how long. You have to do what's called a break-even equation. So you take that
Right.
$10,000 and you go, okay, if I'm going to save $300 a month, I'm going to take that $10,000, divide it by $300, and I'll just do it real quick. $10,000 divided by $300 savings a month. That means 33 months is my break-even point. Divide that by 12. That's 2 years and 7 months. So if I refinance before 2 years and 7 months, then it was worth, or if I refinance before then I'm leaving money on the table. I should have just paid my closing costs. If I
Okay.
refinance afterwards, then every day afterwards I'm making money. So you have to do the calculation and find out how much am I spending, how much am I saving, and then you can make a mathematical decision. But even then, the client might say, I don't really care. I want to save $300 more a month. So you're going to weigh the mathematical decision versus their emotional decision, and then give them the option of what they want to do from there. But it's not always the best thing to do a buy down. Sometimes it is best to just keep the $10,000 in your pocket, pay for your closing costs, and pay the extra $300 a month if you think you're going to refinance in 6 months.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. God, good stuff. Let's go, Lisa, and then Blessing, you're on deck, and then Sierra. And then Otis, if you can put your hand down, if that's the old hand. Thank you, sir.
Well, I'm piggybacking a lot on what Otis and Hector said. It is a really neighborhood to neighborhood market right now. And definitely some of those areas, the Berkeleys, the Albanys, the hot school district zones are always going to stay active. I'm seeing a variety of things. I'm seeing a lot of great houses sitting on the market. I'm primarily right now working with buyers out in Contra Costa County. And that is very market to market. And currently we have an offer in Concord, and that under $1 million market is still kind of popping in the good areas. And we're up against 22 other offers right now on the Walnut Creek Concord border. So
Wow.
there's serious buyers out there, but it also is typically a time of year, we're dealing with interest rate, we're dealing with political, an election year. Election year, people are a little more timid to make moves, kind of watching the economy, watching what's going on, watching interest rates, and where it's at, it is shrinking people's purchasing power right now. I'm also talking with agents who are sitting on some great houses right now and are trying to decide, are my sellers going to pull this off market because they're not getting the prices and the offers that they want to get. People are timid to even throw offers right now. So they're like looking at price reductions, looking at, yeah, maybe we'll pull it off, do a few things, wait for the market. Great, Pleasant Hill houses, which go bam, 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 and some great houses sitting there. And that's where we just have to educate, really work with our lenders, really get our lenders involved with our clients, what they can afford, what they can do here, and really adjust the conversation with our clients of looking at this and looking at what they can do and where they can make their moves. And the further you go out, I know I'm also trying to build a business up here in Placer County. Things are sitting, the high dollar houses are really sitting up here. It's taken longer for them to get into contract, but we are seeing Bay Area folks come in this direction because they can get more for their money up here if they can work remotely than what they're finding in the Bay Area and great school districts here too. So it's a lot of conversations. It's not a one size fit all. I do still believe it is, inventory is not great. There's houses out there. Are they good houses? Are they houses that need a lot of work? So sellers are still in the driver's seat ultimately, because there's not a lot of good inventory sitting there right now. So.
Well said, Lisa, and I love your vantage point on this. And depending on where you are, I saw an article 3 days ago that stated that we are at inventory levels that were at pre-pandemic, but also you have to think like, what is that inventory? Or is this inventory that is appealing to the masses, or is this a lot of inventory that needs help? When I was talking to Kenny yesterday, because they have a luxury listing up in the Oakland Hills, he's like, I feel like on the higher end of the luxury market, that market is still super busy, right? The middle of the luxury market, he's like, it's not as, but when you get 1 million and below in supermarkets, some markets, it's super active. So it's really, really tricky to gauge. And like everyone has said, it is market to market, it is house to house. Right? Market to market, house to house. I'm really loving this conversation. Good stuff, you guys. Let's go Blessing. I think I said Blessing, it was next, and then Sierra. And then I think I had one more. I think it was Demian. So we'll go over to him in a moment. So let's go Blessing.
Well, my hand was up by accident, and I really wish that I had more to contribute. So I'm sorry.
Well, you're here now. What's the answer to the question? Is this the buyer's market or seller's market?
I definitely think it's still a seller's market because inventory is at a premium. It's just we don't have the inventory just yet for buyer levels to be like where they have the upper hand. And even though we're not seeing as many we're seeing more price cuts than we saw before, I'm seeing that that's more strategy to go back to, we probably were at more transparent pricing to just make it even. And now they're doing the price cut to actually get more eyes on it. I saw 3 homes yesterday. One of them did have a huge price reduction, and it did exactly what the seller wanted it to do and get more attention. It'd been sitting for 30 days, did a price reduction in a week, and now, less than 24 hours, after offers come in, they're under contract. So I think the sellers still have the upper hand, even those that are sitting on the side debating to sell or not. Yeah, those that are waiting to sell, like they still have the upper hand.
Yeah, really, really good stuff. And what I'm loving about this conversation is that there's similarities in what you guys are all saying, but everybody is saying it in their own way, in their own words. And what's cool about this is that we all serve different markets. Now, obviously, there's some parallels, but I'm really, really enjoying everything that you guys are saying and bringing to the table. Let's go over to Sierra. We're going to shift gears on a couple of things before we start to wrap session. So, Sierra, let's hear from you. Contributions. Housing market, is it a buyer's or is it a seller's market?
Good morning. So I agree with everybody. I'm just going to make a couple points that touch on a couple points. So one thing is that I've seen a major slowdown. I think it was graduation, well as summer. That goes for both buyers and sellers. And the other thing that I wanted to note is that, when you're looking at houses, there's certain houses that are going fast and certain houses that are sitting. There's almost always a reason why that house is sitting, almost always. The other thing is that these houses that are great for flipping, these investors are swooping them up. So even if it's a home that a family could put some money into remodel, well, that investor is coming in with cash. So if it's a good deal, whether it's a house to flip or whether it's, a house that just needs to be remodeled, or a house that's under the $1 million mark, we're seeing those houses go really fast. And sometimes it doesn't matter on the area, because if it's a house that's going to make some money after it's flipped, those investors are in there. Doesn't matter,
Yeah, really good stuff, Sierra. I appreciate your contributions. Let's go over to Demian, and then I think Cortez had his hand up for a quick flash, but let's go Demian.
Good morning. Good morning. So in terms of inventory and specific to the East Bay, it is still a seller's market because there is not enough inventory to service all the buyers that are looking for homes. But the good news for buyers is that specific to their needs, there are a lot of opportunities, especially in condos. Right now, there's a lot of condos that are sitting on the market for numerous days. And so there is an opportunity which would make the perception that it is a buyer's market in that specific niche. And it's also pocket specific. Like you said, Kenny has this luxury listing, 2 million and above. Buyers can pretty much have options of what they can buy. So it depends on the strength of the buyer as well. If you have $2-3 million cash, it's your market. And
right.
So it's not linear. It's not just one answer to that question. Is it a buyer or a seller's market? It just depends on your needs and what you want to do. Again, like somebody else mentioned as well, in terms of sellers, if a seller bought at the height of the market and they need to sell now, well, then in that specific circumstance, it's a buyer's market, because the buyer is going to win in that circumstance. The seller is probably not going to get what they paid for the house at the height, depending on what kind of house it is. So it's definitely a mixed answer to the question, but in terms of inventory, it's for sure a seller's market still.
Yeah, good stuff, you guys. Really, really good contributions. Does anybody want to take a crack at that or answer that before we shift gears? All right, cool. So let's go to a couple people. I want to hear what were some things that you heard from your, from people on the call with there it is. There's the hand. Let's go to Dominique really quick. Dominique, let's hear from you. What's your contribution?
I feel like this is actually a buyer's market. And I say that because I do a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And what a lot of people don't realize is that there's a lot of concessions going on. Even when they initially write the contract, there is none. But then somewhere along the line, there are concessions that are being had. And it's always at least like $15,000 to $20,000, but I do see histories. I have to go down histories when I do my reports, and I do see that even when they do price reductions, it's always a price that the seller doesn't want initially. And so I'm still feeling like buyers are still winning in this market majorly. Of course, there's pockets, but there are, and even speaking with the agents when I have to do the reports, sellers just aren't happy right now. And I know like some big hitter agents right now whose listings just are sitting, and clients just don't want to budge, or they're like, then I want to take this off if it's not going to sell for X, Y, and Z. And so I still feel like it's a buyer's market and buyers can get in and really be aggressive. It's just kind of like the whole facade of it, like thinking this is still a really hot market, which it is, but in a sense, it's still a really big buyer's market.
I love this. I love this. And great insight as always. And then one more. Let's go, Hector.
Sorry, I want to piggyback off of what Dominique was talking about. I feel like we've been on this textbook buyers, sellers market. I think that's now changing. COVID probably disrupted the entire industry on all levels. And I think that we're going into a new era of what type of market we're going to go into. And I feel like it's whoever's market. I don't think we're going to be in the textbook situation because I'm hearing everyone, and I don't disagree with anyone. I feel like we're in neither one, because there is definitions regarding what a textbook seller's market is, regarding inventory and, the buyers that we have. But honestly, some sellers will be like, I will give a trip if you buy my house today. I will like do X, Y, Z, to Dominique's point. But to that $2 million and above, because they have money, like Demian said, that's their market. So it's like, I feel like we're going into a new era, and we won't know it until we've left it or we're in it. Just like when we don't know when the dip is going to be until we're gone from it with the interest rate. So I just feel like we're going into something new that is going to evolve because of COVID.
Yeah, and I think everything's going to change too, and everything evolves because of the settlement. Because it might be a hot house, right? Say this house has multiple offers. Well, the offer that they accepted was an offer that asked for a $10,000 concession, and some of that money is going to be used towards compensation towards the agent. So it's just like, was that a buyer's market or was that a seller's market? Because the buyer's super happy. The buyer got all their commission covered for their agent, also got some of their closing costs. So in that regard, even though that house was hot, was that a seller's market or was that a buyer's market? So I think it changes a lot moving forward, especially with all the new concessions that are going to go towards paying compensation. So I like that point of view, Hector. And I think on some levels, I totally agree that this market is going to be really dictated by what happens in the next couple months and kind of uncertain. And I like that like middle ground that we're at. But the best thing that we can do is just really be ahead of where we're at with our understanding of the market, understanding of the dialogue, how to use this information, and how to have this type of communication that you're having right now with your brothers and sisters with a consumer. Because I promise you, everybody that spoke on a call right now, if they were sitting across from a consumer, the consumer would be like, well, that makes sense. That makes sense. I'm so glad that I have you because you're the expert and that really makes sense. And thank you for bringing light to that. So really good stuff, you guys. Great contributions. I want to share something with you because we've obviously talked about sellers. We've talked about buyers, but I heard a script yesterday and I want to share it with you. And I transcribed the script, or I had Judith transcribe the script. So I want to share this with you. And what I want you guys to do is I want you to listen to this. And I want you to hear some things that are said in this that stand out that we've actually practiced on this call. So I'm going to play this really quick and we're going to go right into this. So bear with me. Hector, give me a thumbs up if you can hear the video. Let me turn my volume up a little bit. All right, cool. We are all the way up.
Great. So tell me a little bit more about
can you hear
it?
it? You can hear it? Okay, cool. All right.
About making a move down the line.
Most important is we need more space.
So you need more space. So how much more space are we talking about?
We definitely need more bedrooms. We've got kids sharing bedrooms.
I have 3 kids. I hear you. Where were you thinking if you did decide to make a move, where you want the payment to be?
Not sure I can move up, get the home we want.
In an ideal world, where would you want your payment to come in?
It's going to go up. We probably would want to stay in around 5,000, I'd say.
I hear you. I mean, there's a lot of people that are locked in right now and they've got these low rates. Just imagine a year or 2 from now, if you don't move, what's that going to look like for you and your household?
Dealing with more of the chaos in the house that we deal with now.
It sounds like you're a bit like me and you're looking down the line at what's going to be best for everyone long term. I'm not sure if this would be for you, but if I could show you homes that hit the bedroom requirement, the square footage requirement, and the monthly payment requirement, is that something you'd want me to keep you informed about?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be open to taking a look at that.
I'm going to do a little research. Most agents, what they end up doing is they just send you properties and they wait for you to call them and say, hey, I like this one. We're a little more proactive than that. There's also some other options out there. So, I'm not sure if this would be for you, but if you're open-minded to maybe like a planning meeting.
Yeah, I'd be open to the meeting. I mean, we could certainly get together and see what makes sense. Why would I give up my low interest rate?
Yeah, I mean, that's.
So let's stop there. I've taken some notes on this. I have my feedback, but what were some things that you heard in Tim Toole's dialogue that stood out to you? Was there any key phrases or sales techniques and tactics that you heard in that conversation that you want to share your insights? Let's hear. I saw Darnell rushing to the mute button. Let's go Blessing first.
If you don't move in the next year to 2 years, what does that look like for your household? It's like putting them into that pain point even further of what are you thinking of? What are you living now? Extrapolate that out. And is that okay for you? Is really like, that's a great question to ask.
Yeah, I love this. And if you guys go back to know exactly what to say, in that book, they use the phrase, just imagine. Well, just imagine that you're still in this household 3 years from now as your kids get bigger. What does that look like for you and your family? Oh, well, that sucks. It still sucks 3 years from now. So really good takeaway. Darnell, let's hear from you, big dog. I know you wrote something in the chat and we'll go over to Sierra. Let's go, Darnell.
Yeah, I like how he said, I'm not sure if this is for you. He made it seem kind of indifferent, that he was indifferent about it. And he also made it seem like, yeah, this is a planning strategy. I'm not sure if it's for you. If not, it's okay. But if it is, then we can go right into that. So he was kind of steering him into that planning meeting.
So there's some amazing psychology that happens. When I tell you, Darnell, I don't know if this water bottle is for you. where does your mind go? You, as a consumer, where do you go?
Well, yeah, it's for me. Show me the water
Do
bottle.
you think, why is that not for me? Hold on, I like water. Like,
I
why is
deserve
it not
it.
for me? Yeah, what you, it might not be for me. So the moment you say, I'm not sure this is for you, Otis, and I want to share this thought with you, but I don't know if it's for you. When you say that, a consumer's mind says, well, maybe it is for me. Like maybe it is. What do you mean it's not for me? Now I'm engaged with the conversation. So really, really good. Yeah, the FOMO kicks in, really good stuff. Sierra, you had a contribution. Let's hear from you.
I love these scripts, and just from some experience of there is some pressure involved here for consumers, and just realize when you are using these types of scripts, you need to do enough rapport building in order to make them work, or people can back away really fast. So that's the only caveat to that is make sure that person is feeling nice and comfortable before you start pushing with these types of scripts.
100%. Now, there's a level of tact that goes into this. You cannot just rush into this style of conversation. It's not going to work. There has to be a level of rapport that you've already built before you can go into that type of conversation. So 100% fully agree. But there's a couple things in here that I wanted you guys to hang on to. He said most agents, right? Most agents would just do this or set you up on a search or send you homes. Our team is a little bit different. We are very, very proactive in how we look for homes and how we find homes for you. So I'm not sure if it's for you, but would you be open-minded to sit down and have a strategy session with me and a planning session for the years ahead? Right? So it's a completely different approach. And those were some things that I heard that really stood out to me. Otis, let's go to you, and then I'm going to hook you guys up with something right now.
Well, I have my hand raised, but you touched on two of the things that I was going to say too. One of the biggest things that I like to do is he kind of set him up where he was like, if I can show you the same square footage, if I can show you the same monthly rate, would you be open to that? I think that, being proactive, like he said, and the killer thing was, it was smooth how he did it. He kind of downplayed the opposition without really putting it out there. Like, we do more than that. So it's just like, I always tell consumers, like, I'm always available no matter what. If it's not going to physically be me, that door will be opening for you with whether it's one of my brothers, it's just on the team. So just that extra kind of, you're already giving them something and I'm working hard for you, even though you're not committed to me yet. I think those are some of the biggest things in building rapport. And then, I mean, the biggest issues he's having is, why would I leave this interest rate? So I'm putting in front of you, Elias, if I can make you pay the exact same, even though if it might be a 4-point rate, a 5-point rate, like if I can get you at that same monthly mortgage and you have a better house, why wouldn't you want to think about moving forward with that? So I think that was the biggest punch right there.
Yeah, and he asked, like, in an ideal world, right? Where would you guys move? Well, we'd move here. Okay, so in an ideal world, what would that payment need to come in at to make you and the family feel comfortable? Like, these are really good open-ended questions for you to essentially move towards what? An appointment, just to talk about their strategy and their plan over the next couple of years. That's all we want to do, is we want to book an appointment to talk about that strategy. And once you get them on that call, then you elaborate, you go further. So I thought that it was a great script. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to share this with you guys. Feel free to use this. Feel free to practice this. Put this into your flow. That way you guys can have more tools in your arsenal. I'll make sure to put that internally in Slack as well. That way you guys have that. But let's do this. Let's start to come full circle in the conversation. I want to hear from some people on the call today. Let's go over to Jackie. Are you still here? Let me see. Jackie said she was feeding her baby. Jacqueline, are you still here? Jackie going once, Jackie going twice. All right, cool. We'll come back to Jackie.
I am
Antonio.
still here, yes.
All right, Jackie, your first time at
Super
a
informational, yes, super informational video. So
Oh, you
mom in the
froze.
background, so I'm listening in and I'm painting everything. Oh, sorry.
Awesome. So let me ask you this, Jackie. One question for you. What was one key takeaway from your first Keep It Moving group coaching session?
What was that? You cut off, I'm sorry.
What was one key takeaway from your first Keep It Moving group coaching session?
Ooh, I think it was like just the team. You know, how everybody's just so involved and it's just like everybody has great information and everybody feeds off another. It's just that, you know, that environment, that community environment.
Awesome. Yeah. Community is definitely a word that comes up quite a bit to explain this group. So I appreciate you being here. Thank you for being a guest. Let's go over to Antonio. Antonio, let's hit him, bro. What was one of your takeaways from today's meeting?
One of my takeaways from today's meeting was really getting an understanding to if it was a buyer's or seller's market, and kind of realizing that every market is different. Like, some areas could be more of a buyer's area than others, and really just getting an understanding of that, and knowing what market you're going to be in, and preparing yourself for that.
That's right. And doing your homework, right? Anybody can open doors. Like, we have to be the experts. We have to do all the research, all the knowledge. So when it comes down to writing this offer or going on a listing appointment, we know exactly all the data that's going to help move the needle forward. So I appreciate that contribution, Antonio. Let's go Aaron Crisp. Aaron Crisp, key takeaways from our time together today. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, key takeaways, I would say VA. VA is a strong program that can help a lot of buyers. And again, I think Stephanie or somebody mentioned it, and I never heard it phrased this way, but it's an earned benefit, right? It's something that they served our country that for a certain period of time, and they're eligible for this great program that helps them get into houses, low down payments, everything like that. So just reiterating that was a good thing. And then the market, I'd love to hear buyers versus sellers markets, because it's kind of evolving. Like I think Hector was saying, it depends on who you're talking to. Demian put it perfectly. If you got $3, $4, $5 million in the bank to buy any house, the market's yours, right? So just kind of reminding me to sit down with each individual, and that market is a buyer's or seller's market depending on where you're looking and who you're talking to. So it's something that kind of adds another layer to our consultation, and adding a value of just not coming in with that canned, it's a buyer's market or it's a seller's market. Like, what are you trying to do? And this is how it impacts you, what kind of market it is for you. So all that stuff is super awesome. That was a great call.
Wow. Well said, my man. Well said. I appreciate your contribution. And let's go, last but not least, let's go Lisa Gillis. Lisa, thank you for your contributions today. Any key takeaways from what you heard from other people speaking today, or any key takeaways from the session at all?
The VA stuff, loved hearing that. That's really good information and really helpful for my buyers. Appreciated hearing some more dialogue information and feedback from everybody on their experience with the market. So it's definitely a new chapter we're all walking into, and how we're adapting, and it really is for us perception, and how we can share that with our buyers and sellers too, because we're here to serve, and we got to get in the mix, and really I'm feeling like it's a time that we're going to be bringing more and more value on both the buyer and seller side right now. So we really got to step up and continue to educate ourselves and position ourselves to really serve our clients right now.
I love that. I love that. Remember what I said on Monday, you guys. We must put ourselves in a position where we absolutely fall in love with the results for our consumers. Because when you're in love with the results for the consumers, then you're in love with the process. When you're in love with the process, you're always looking at it and saying, how can I get better? How can I refine this? How can I say this better? How can I present this better in a way that connects better with my consumers? Because I'm in love with their results. And so you guys, thank you for all of your contributions at a very, very high level today. Reminder, we are doing an economic update with California Association of Realtors Chief Economist Jordan Levine. He will be here today at 11 o'clock until 1 o'clock. 11 to 12 is the economic update. 12 to 12:30 is Q&A and key takeaways. After that, we get to socialize here in the office, break some bread, have some lunch provided to us by the Money Store. So if you're in the area and you haven't RSVP'd, feel free to come through. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys here, having some fun, and gaining even more knowledge. So thank you guys for all of your contributions at a very high level. And let's give a shout out to the babies on the call today, because the babies are filling our spirits with smiles. So thank you guys for being here with the kids, the little ones, the medium-sized ones, and the little babies. So you guys, thank you for everything that you represent. I appreciate you as always. Keep it moving towards your dreams, goals, and vision, and have an amazing day. Peace.